Hello all, very good evening. Thanks for joining the demo too. Let me share my screen just in a moment of time. Yeah, so hope you guys are now able to see my screen, I believe. Let us continue with the demo 2. In demo 1, just I explained the model of the program, how we will execute, like the project name, Shopify platform, and then it is a full stack development. Duration is 75 days, and platform is AWS Cloud Platform. And the project is of type retail e-commerce, meaning the domain is of type retail e-commerce. And then technologies, we're going to use Spring Boot 3.x, microservices, Spring Cloud, Docker, AWS, WSO2 IAM, JDK 17.x, and Redis Cache, lot more. These are, for namesake, few. We gonna use a lot of tools as well. However, I already have listed out the services and then the tools that we're gonna use. I'll come to this slide or this document. And front end, we're gonna use the React.js 18.x and React hooks and Redux store to store the tokens at the UI side. And prerequisite must have the experience or the knowledge on the Java 8, Spring Core, and optionally Spring Boot. So I explained about this program. This program is for 75 days, where the beginning 60 days we'll do the development. Of course, the first week we'll do the infrastructure setup, and from the second week onwards, we'll do the development, and that development till continues up to the 6 to 7 weeks. And then the last 2 weeks, we're going to do the production deployment. So today, before understanding the further concept, like understanding the domain retail e-commerce, first let me explain the infrastructure setup. In infrastructure setup, I'm just setting you the expectation, okay? Because why you have to join this course, right? You may have a lot of options in the market, and you may have a lot of options also, like Udemy is there or other platforms are there. Then why you need to spend your time and then join here? So to justify that, I'm trying to, set up some bullet points, and then, I'm just trying to justify myself why you should have to take this course. So as part of that, first let me explain you the infrastructure setup. And in that infrastructure setup, maybe you don't know what are those components and all what we're going to discuss now, but just listen about those components and have a just checklist, what we're going to do, and are we really going to do this in the real time or not. So just have a checklist. And of course, I'm also explain or showcase you the existing setup, what we already have done for the earlier batch. So then let us go and then start understanding the domain called retail e-commerce. From there, let us derive through the existing application understanding, and then deriving the project concept, modules, use cases, functional requirements, technical requirements, and the user interfaces, architecture, all those things let us discuss. So first, let us understand the infrastructure setup. So let me showcase you the infrastructure document. I believe you already have seen yesterday, and this is what the documentation, project documentation, and a lot more also. I'll give this documentation to you once you have been enrolled for this course. Okay, so this is what our end product production architecture. So maybe by looking into it, you may not understand. Let me draw this production architecture or infra setup. Not only in production, we also do this infra setup in our development environment as well. So better let me try to draw that architecture one more time, and then you will easily understand. Okay. So we're going to use the AWS Cloud Platform, first of all. So let us take this AWS Cloud Platform just in a moment of time. Let me take AWS Cloud Platform related. Yeah. So just let me take, these are our availability zones, not this one. Just let me go with this. Not this one. Not this one. I'm trying to, drawing the architecture things. So let me take one of this one. So this is what the AWS cloud. Just assume this is the AWS cloud. Let me capture the AWS cloud image. Don't feel it as wasting your time, but you will get understanding the production architecture and also the architecture, the development architecture, what we're going to use here as well. So both architectures you're going to understand. So this is what the AWS cloud platform. So when I say AWS cloud platform, you guys must and should have to know how to set up this AWS cloud platform, meaning how we can create an account, and then maybe most of you guys may know or may not know about this AWS. Don't worry, I'll explain while doing the setup, you guys can learn. So we're going to take this AWS cloud platform and then create one user, one IAM user we're going to create, maybe the root user or platform user. So one of the IAM account we're going to create. So let's say this IAM account is nothing but vShopify admin, vShopify cloud admin. So this is the person who gonna manage this entire cloud. So vShopify platform admin is the user that we're gonna create. Then listen carefully. So here with this architecture, so far you just understood. Point number one, we're gonna cover IAM. So by this one, you just understood, we're gonna use the IAM. In this IAM, we're going to create an administrator user with the administrator privileges. So we're going to create a user with the administrator privileges. Privileges meaning the permissions, roles, and all. Next is what? Here in AWS, there is a concept called virtual private cloud. So let me just try to log into this AWS, sign into the console. Let me showcase you. Let me log in with my AWS details. Yeah, as soon as I have been logged in. Yes. Yes. So let's go to the VPC, virtual private cloud. By default, we will have one VPC. In AWS, by default, we'll have one VPC. But this VPC we don't use because this is the anyone who may be using the AWS account, there may be a chance of knowing our IP addresses and all, because they can predict this CIDR. They can predict the CIDR addresses, or there will be not maybe it's not more secure. So that is the reason we're going to create our own VPC, vShopify platform VPC. So that means we're going to use our own VPC. So this is what our VPC. Okay, so this is what our VPC is. So we're going to create the VPC. So once after we create VPC, see this. This is the VPC we're going to create. So if you can see this VPC having the route table, right? And if we can go to this route table have the routes, and you can see these routes to the routes, and then it also have the subnet associations. Subnet associations. So let me go to again our VPC and route tables. vShopify private route table, public route table. So there will be two route tables, public route table, private route table. Each and every route table having the subnets you can see here. So subnet associations. One is the public subnet, and then the second one is the private subnet. So this is the private subnets. So these subnets are associated to our VPC. These subnets are associated to our VPC. See this vShopify platform VPC. So what did you understand now? This VPC is having one IP address. So that IP address is 10.0.0.0/16. You can have any IP ranges. So we are just defining one IP range for this VPC, so that within this IP range only the IP addresses can generate for the instances that we're going to take, like the machines, servers, whatever the servers we're going to take in this VPC, those servers will have this 10.0 as their IP address. Now, if you can see, there is one more 0.0 is available. So this 0 is what we will use this 0 for the subnets. So we will create now the subnets. How many subnets will create? We'll create the two subnets. One is the private subnet, second one is the public subnet. So this is the, so before creating these subnets, first we will take the availability zone. We will take the availability zone. So when we are creating the VPC, so here we have to give the VPC name and then the CIDRs and all. And when we are creating these subnets, we must have to choose the availability zones. For example, creating the subnet. So what is the VPC and then what is the subnet name and all we have to create. But availability zone is what we must have to use. So I'm now in the Mumbai region. Maybe you guys also can take the Hyderabad region as well. So we are now in the AP South 1 region. In AP South 1 region, we will have the two availability zones, AP South 1A and then AP South 1B. So these are all the availability zones. AP South 1, AZ3, AZ1. So availability zones is what we need to take. So this is the diagram is showing the same. So VPC, and then in that VPC, let us take the availability zones. So first, let me go and then take the availability zone. Availability zone or AZ, in simple we can call them as AZ. So this is one availability zone. Minimum two availability zones is what we have to take. Minimum two availability zones is what we have to take. So this is one availability zone and this is the another availability zone. Let's say AP South 1A and this is AP South 1B. AZ, AP South 1A and this is AZ, AP South 1B. Now in these availability zones, we have to take the subnets. So we have to take the public subnet and then the private subnet. So this is the public subnet. One public subnet is in availability zone A and then another public subnet in the availability zone B. Similarly, we have to take the private subnet. I'll explain what is this public subnet, what is the private subnet. Just bear with me till I complete this design. So this is what the private subnet. So in availability zone 1, we should have to take the private subnet and here we should have to take the private subnet. So now why we are doing all these things? We are doing all these things to have the more security for our machines or the servers that we're going to take in our project. So this public subnet 1, maybe we are dividing the huge network into subnetworks. So those are the subnets. So this is 10.0 and 24, and this is 20. Let's say 20.0. So when 10.0.20, it is public subnet 2. When 10.0.10, it is public subnet 1. What are these 10.0, 10.0.1? What are all these things? Later on time, we're gonna create the instances, our EC2 instances. For example, see WSO2 IAM server, and see this Redis cache server. So if you can go here, WSO2 cache server, Redis cache server, their IP addresses are 10.0.30. So that means this is what the IP range of the private subnet 1. So private subnet 1 IP range is 10.0.30, and then the another private subnet IP range is 10.0.40. So we are now we have now divided the outer huge network into subnetworks. So this huge network we divided into subnetworks. Why? Because security. Why? Because to have the more security for our machines or servers we're gonna set up in our cloud platform. Okay. Now the machines, whatever we're gonna create in this private subnet, will get the IP ranges like 10.0.30. something. See this 10.0.30.33. That means this WSO2 IAM server we have taken in the private subnet 1. You can even take this one, private subnet 01. Similarly, maybe the cache server we have taken, this might also be in the private subnet 1. You can see private subnet 1. So that means, what did you understand from this one? Going forward, we will take the machines in these private subnets. Our servers will be in the private subnets. So what is the benefit of this private subnets? When the machine will be set up in the private subnet, that machine directly can't accessible from the network. Meaning, if you open this tab and then try to access it, we never access, because these machines don't get the public IP address. So the machines servers we're gonna take or set up in the private subnets don't get this public IP addresses. As it don't have the public IP address, we can't access it. But how, sir? Without accessing, if tomorrow we want to set up something, how do we do that? Yes. So rather accessing with this private and then this public IP addresses, we will access it through the load balancers. So what we're going to do now, we will set up the load balancer. So that load balancer will come here. Let me take this load balancer. This is the load balancer. We're going to take the, there are 3 load balancers: classic load balancer, network load balancer, application load balancer, and one more load balancer. We're going to take the network load balancer. Network load balancer is the layer 4 load balancer, which is very fast. When time comes, I'll explain. Don't worry about it at this moment. So classic load balancer, network load balancer, application load balancer, and one more load balancer is also there, gateway load balancer. That total 4 load balancers we have. But I'm going to take the network load balancer because it is a layer 4 load balancer. What is this layer 4 load balancer, sir? All those things I'll explain later in time. So the load balancer is here. Load balancer is not in the VPC. So where is the load balancer for us here? Go to the CC2 instances. In earlier project, we have taken the load balancer. See, these are all the load balancers. vShopify IAM server, vShopify Redis server, we have taken the load balancers in the availability zones. in the same VPC we have taken our vShopify platform VPC, and in the it is available in both the availability zones. That means this load balancer will be commonly available for this both two availability zones. Okay, it is now in our VPC. Okay, so then we're gonna set up our servers, our EC2 machines or the servers we're gonna set up in our private subnets. So this is one server, and maybe we're gonna take this is another server. Let's say this is the IAM server, and this is the, let's say, Redis cache, Redis server. Maybe we're gonna take another server. Probably this is a Docker server. This is a Docker server. Maybe this is a Docker server, right? And maybe we're gonna take other servers as well, like IAM, Redis, Docker, or maybe we're gonna take one other jump box. There is one machine called jump box. We will use this jump box. So these are all what the machines we're going to take in this private subnets. So when these machines will take in the private subnet, when these machines will be taken the private subnet, then these machines can't access from the outside. Outside in the sense, this is the AWS cloud, right? So the users are over the network. So the users are over the network. Maybe the users are here, or maybe users, you, me, we are here. So we are here. So what we're going to do, we are trying to access the application via this load balancer over the network. So just give me a moment. Maybe this concept is little tough to understand at this moment, but you see, you have to justify yourself, right? Why I should have to join this course? Maybe I can get a better course anywhere. You go and then check, or attend various demos. You will know the importance of what I'm telling here. However, so users will access the application. The application will run here. Maybe here IAM will run. So let me take the IAM application. Like this is what the IAM server. So this IAM server maybe this IAM server may be running here, right? So here IAM server may be running. Here IAM server may be running, and maybe here the Redis cache is running, right? So in order to access those applications, so maybe here the Redis cache is running. Just let me take in this diagram. Yeah. So in order to access these applications over the internet, meaning over the cloud, I mean to say. So here is the cloud. So this is what the cloud, right? So over the internet, when the users are trying to accessing our application, right? Then the users know the either load balancer URL, or the users will know the the domain. So like, let us say these guys will access our application. Let me take it like this. Better, let me take it like this. So these guys will access our application like this. https:// im.vshopify.app.in, or maybe vshopify.in. Like this, they will access the application. So when they will access the application, first it will go to the route 53. So we're going to use a service called route 53. So first it will come to the service called the route 53. So before this route 53 even, there is another service called certificate manager. Certificate manager. So this certificate manager will validate the certificate, because we are using HTTPS, right? So it will validate this certificate in the AWS. First, it will validate by the certificate manager. Then the domain will be resolved by this route 53. Then for this domain in the route 53, we will configure the load balancer. So it will be reach out to load balancer. So we can say, so probably I can take it like this. Just let me take it here. Now let me take this here. Okay. So here what I'll do is I'll take the route 53. Remember, what are the services are covering for us? So one is IM, and second one is VPC, and third one is the load balancers, and fourth one is the route 53, and fifth one is the certificate manager. So these are the services so far we have discussed. Right. Now, when the call comes to this load balancer, then the load balancer will have the target group of the EC2 instances. So this load balancer is in now our VPC. So it will easily group these instances, and these instances, each incoming request now will go to the gateway. So if you can see here, in the VPC structure, let me again go to VPC. There will be a internet gateway. So go to VPC, and this is the VPC, and our VPC will have the internet gateway. So let's go to so these are the subnets, and this VPC have the internet gateway. So main network ACL, this network ACL have subnet. So let's go to internet gateway. So this is the vShopify platform internet gateway. So this internet gateway attached to our VPC platform. I'll explain the usage of this internet gateway. Maybe first let me draw the entire architecture, then I'll explain. So whatever the questions you are asking, difference between load balancer and API gateway, these are all in a single class we can't answer, right? But 100% there is a difference. So just wait till I complete this one. All your questions will get resolved. So first the call will come to this load balancer. Now load balancer will have the listen till end, then your questions will be resolved. Because while I am discussing the topic, you are asking the questions which I am going to discuss next. So again, if I jump there, it will be confusion for you. Let's just wait. So this is the load balancer we're going to create. And this load balancer have the, network group, target servers group. So this is the target group. So the target group, carefully observe, the target group is, of course, the load balancer is in the VPC. So the target group is identifying the targets of our server, vShopify IAM server. Now these machines will get identified. So that means from here, from the load balancer, the machines are reachable. So from here, the machines from the load balancer, the machines in the sense we should have to say the network is the from this load balancer. First is availability zone, private subnet. This is now reachable, but directly it can't go here. So 1 minute. So, but rather than directly going here, of course, it will identify, meaning the load balancer will identify the group of target servers. But there is a internet gateway. That internet gateway will do what? Internet gateway will allow the network communication to these machines, meaning in order to access the application inside this machine, we require the internet gateway. So load balancer is to take the incoming request and then the balance incoming request and then to balance the load, and that load balancer request then go to our internet gateway. So that means from the internet gateway, the call will from the load balancer, the call comes to this internet gateway. Now internet gateway will know about these private and then public subnets. So then from here, the application from this, from here, the application in this subnets one or maybe subnet two, the application is now reachable, meaning accessible. I mean to say, the application is now accessible through the um, internet gateway. So internet gateway is allowing the traffic or load or network access, meaning allowing the call from the external network to the internal VPC network. Meaning internet gateway, without internet gateway, we can't access the application. So internet gateway is allowing the calls to the applications that are running in our VPC inside the subnets. This is fine. Now, as the machines are accessible, meaning the application is accessible over the internet gateway, load balancer will resolve the incoming request. First, this is the domain. Domain will be resolved. First, certificate will be validated by the certificate manager. Then domain will be resolved by the route 53. So let me showcase you the route 53 as well. So go here and let me take the route 53. Just be with me. Seems to be my internet is little slow. So this is the route 53. So incoming request, when we access the incoming request, now the call comes to first is route 53 after the certificate manager verifies the HTTPS protocol or that certificate. So in the hosted zone, you can see this our certificate and all, meaning here you can see this is what the load balancer. This is what the load balancer URL. So when we are accessing im.vshopifyapp.in or cache.vshopifyapp.in, it will be resolved to this load balancer. Exactly what I have drawn here. So we are accessing im.vshopify.in. It comes to route 53. Route 53 now will have, this is the domain. For that, what is the load balancer? This is the load balancer. Now it will go to that load balancer. So let's say this is what that load balancer, vShopify IAM server network load balancer, right? So this is what we can see here, vShopify IAM server network load balancer. So then the call comes to the network load balancer. Now network load balancer, what the target groups. So the target groups will result to these machines, meaning the target group, this network load balancer have the target group of these machines, and these machines will be resolved by this load balancer because it knows that the machines are targeted or grouped together. But the application here, this is the application we are trying to access. In order to access that application from the external network, we require the internet gateway to allow the calls. We require the internet gateway to allow the calls, to allow the external calls into our network, this VPC, private subnets and all. So that is the reason we have taken this NAT gateway. And sometimes we need to access these machines, right? Meaning IAM server, jump box, these machines need the updates. Updates meaning, for example, WSO2 IAM server is there. It have the some updates. So that updates we need to download onto this machine. So this machine requires to connect to the internet. So in order to connect this machine to the internet, we will use what the NAT gateway. We will use what the NAT gateway. Now probably you understood the difference between this load balancer and then the internet gateway. Now we're going to discuss about this NAT gateway. So this is the NAT gateway. Just let me take it here. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. It should have to be rotate. Okay. Otherwise, let me take like this only. Should have to rotate basically. Okay, fine. Let me take this NAT gateway. So NAT gateway we will take in the public subnet, and here is one NAT gateway, and here is we have one NAT gateway. So what this NAT gateway will do, if from this machine to connect to the external network, we use this NAT gateway. So NAT gateway. So NAT gateway is used to connect our machines to the external network. Internet gateway is used to access our application from the external network, whereas the NAT gateway is used to access our application, the external network. So this is the reverse call. So this NAT gateway is doing the reverse way, meaning if our machine need to go and then get some updates from the internet, our machine should only do that using this NAT gateway, right? So if you can see this production architecture, the same we have done. Now NAT gateway, this NAT gateway is, this is the NAT gateway call. This NAT gateway call, probably it will go to the network. Our when there is NAT gateway, this NAT gateway will be attached to this private subnets, and then the routes. If you can see here, a route table. So route table, we will attach this NAT gateway. So here is the NAT gateway. So meaning our route table is attached to this. So there is a route table basically. So for this private subnets, there is a route table. So these route tables, whatever the route tables we have taken, these route tables have the subnet associations, and these subnets and then the route tables we will take inside our VPC. See this is the route table RTB0. This is the one route table, and this route table have the internet gateway. Then internet gateway will gives the call to the subnets, and again subnets have the internet gateway. So so here what it is doing, this NAT gateway. This NAT gateway is doing, let us say I have accessed the machine. So this is the machine, let's say I have accessed. Now my machine need to get updates. So what I will do, I'll just type app-get update. What it will do, my machine have to get the updates from the external network. So my machine need to be connected to the external network. To connect my machine, meaning our servers, to the external network, that means to this outside network, to connect and to get the updates from the external network to our machines, we will use this NAT gateway. However, going forward, it will be very clear for you, but this is what our setup is. This setup will take 1 week for us. So hope this is clear for all of you, right? So what are the concepts we're going to use here? We're going to use the concepts of the IAM, VPC, load balancers, Route 53, certificate manager. Of course, we also will use the gateways. So we also will use the gateways. In this gateway, we'll use the internet gateway, IG. We call it as the internet gateway IG, and we will use the NAT gateway. We'll use the NAT gateway. So with this one, we're gonna do the setup. So I already have done the setup for the earlier project. If required, I can showcase you like how we can access and how it is accessing and all. So probably let me take this one. We Shopify. One moment. Let me create this NAT gateway. So this is what the existing I already have taken the Shopify private subnet, public subnet. This is for the existing setup. So let me create the NAT gateway. So just when I point here, I should have to get okay. So Shopify platform NAT gateway, and let us take this NAT gateway in the subnet. See this public subnet one. Usually we have to take two NAT gateways. So this is what the elastic IP, which will be allocated for the NAT gateway. So create NAT gateway. Once this NAT gateway is created, what we will do, we will attach this NAT gateway to our private route table. In detailed steps, in detailed configuration, I'll explain when we start our sessions. But this is for your understanding purpose, and then this is for your checklist what we're going to cover and all here. So similarly, what I will do, let me start these missions, our servers. What are all our servers? One is the IAM server, second one is the Redis cache server. Of course, Docker server and all will also, we can start, but let us start this servers first. These may take little time because this NAT gateway activation will take little time. Once the NAT gateway is activated, then we can access the application. So mean the time our application also will get, our servers also will get started. See, IAM server started, but the cache server is in still pending state. So let us wait till it start. This is just to bring you the confidence, what you're going to learn here, and the difference you can just check yourself, what you can learn here, and then which is may not be covered by the others, or maybe uniquely you can learn here by spending your time. That is what, to bring you the confidence, I'm just trying to showcase in this one. Okay, however, I also have shown you the Route 53, right? So this is what the Route 53 setup. Of course, I can showcase everything from the scratch. We're going to set up this once we start the real implementations and all. So for now, once this NAT gateway is activated, then I can showcase you the existing application. So mean the time, does anyone use the Redis cache client? So this is what the Redis cache client, which we're going to use for the token store, token cache. In microservices architecture, all our microservices are fully secured microservices. Without the authorization, the microservices can't be accessible. See this? Once we authenticated, then the token will be dumped into our cache. And then when any call is being made to this backend microservices, the token will be validated at the microservices end. So we're going to use the Spring Security 5.x we're going to use here to implement the security mechanism. Okay, so probably this NAT gateway is now available. So let us go and then access im.vshopify.in. So let us try to access this im.vshopify.in. vshopify.in is the domain that we have purchased in the GoDaddy, and of course it will come. Don't worry, don't panic, it will come. So vshopify.app.in is the domain that we have purchased in our GoDaddy, and for that domain we have created the routes in our Route 53. So just now it is being activated, right? It might take little time to register the routes and all, but it will come for sure. Okay, so are we going to use Webflux also? Webflux is not going to use, but some cases only we're going to use reactive programming. Of course, Flux, Mono and all we'll discuss, but complete Webflux we are not going to use. Few parts, Flux and Mono we're going to use whenever required, and then Webflux also we're going to use in the reactive program because the gateway is the reactive one. So if you can see this gateway is the reactive component. So here we're going to use the reactive APIs, reactive implementations. Okay, so probably it will come, and let's check why it is not coming. Yeah, vShopify IAM server, it is started. Maybe it will come. So let me also try to access this cache storage. It will take little time because once after the gateway is started, NAT gateway is activated, it may not be accessed immediately. It may take just 5 to 10 minutes initially to connect to it because the routes and all need to be registered. There is a huge infra, right? That huge infra need to be get registered and all, but it will come. Okay, so any more questions for me? What is the difference between reverse proxy and a load balancer? Going forward, you're going to learn, Alok. I already have explained. Maybe you guys are, yes, right. So load balancer, reverse proxies is what, always gateways will act as the reverse proxies. Basically, what they will do, they will mock the requests. And then they will redirect it to or forward it to the target servers. So reverse proxy in the sense what? Here the proxy will be get activated always, and then these end customers or end applications know only the proxy. That proxy will again redirect or maybe forward to the original applications or original servers. So we'll discuss more about it. Yeah. Okay, so no matter whether you are a fresher, whether you are an experienced person, you all guys are, this is an opportunity, I believe, for you to learn all these things. If you don't know, or if you have not worked at all before, it is an opportunity for you, just to get the things. So this is what our IAM server. So this is what exactly I have shown here in our diagram. And similarly, by this time, we might have been also, this is what our cache storage. Let me try to delete these tokens. And this is what our cache storage. So what this cache storage and how this will work. So when the authentication is done, as soon as the authentication is done, then the token will get created, and that token will be dumped to the cache. And from the cache, the token will be taken by the underlying microservices and also the gateway. So here is the code. Here is the code. This is the gateway code. Let me go and then switch. One moment. Brownfield MS vShopify platform workspace brownfield MS WS repo. So let me showcase you how these everything is working and all. So let me showcase you so that you will get some idea, right? So you can take a wise decision before joining this batch and all. But this is what the prod architecture, right? So here NAT gateway, public subnet, availability zones. This looks to be a little clumsy, but when I drafted, you might have cleared, how we can take the things and all, correct? Okay, however, now let me get the existing microservices and the authentication and all, how it will be works and all. So just let me, okay, maybe I missed something. Just give me a moment. Just give me a moment. Let me find out the microservices. Yeah, brownfield MS microservices repo. This is what the workspace I have to open. Just let me try to open. Of course, other services also are there, like authentication service, brownfield MS. This is ecosystem, user management service, and then you can see here, yes. So authentication service, brand service, category service, and service registry, API gateway, user management service. These are all the services that we're going to develop here. You can see this is the authent service, brand service. So this is the authentication service, which exactly you can see in this diagram. This is the authentication service, user management service. Meaning I have again divided this authentication service into this user management service into two parts. One is authentication service. Second one is the user management service. This user management service is talking about registering the users into the IAM server. And this authentication service is talking about authenticating the users and then generating the tokens. So for a while, just let me start these services. But before starting these services, I also have to start the registry just to showcase you and what is already there, what we're going to do and all. Just to showcase you, I'm just trying to run it because yesterday someone have asked me. Yeah, so JWT and all, that's what I'm just going to showcase you. Once I run it, maybe you guys can get more clarity. Just bear with me for 5 minutes. Whatever I plan to showcase, then I'll showcase. So here the registry, so you can see the architecture. The registry is exactly here. So into this registry, all the microservices will get registered for the dynamic discovery and also for the client-side load balancing. Maybe these terms may be new to you. Going forward, you will understand what are these terms meaning is. So let this registry is started. Just bear with me for a while. And me in the time this registry started, let me also go and then start this authentication service. So once the authentication service is started, then we can talk to our IAM server and submit the credentials, get the tokens, JWT token. I can showcase you that in a moment of time. So yeah, seems to be it is now started. Let me go and hit 5022 swagger-ui index.html. So let me try to authenticate with this user, vshopify-admin, and then the password is addons123 $. So we will get the token. So JWT token we will get. So initially, right? So it might take little time. So we got the token and then the same token dumped to our cache. So you can see the token here. And this token we can use further, and then we can access the microservices, brands, and then category service. Let me start. So here we're going to use what, Swagger documentation. For that, we're going to use the OpenAPI implementation and Swagger documentation with the security header. This is the I'm not boasting myself, but I have not seen this kind of training in Amirpet. I mean, maybe it is you guys maybe feel like I'm boasting, but I'm not boasting. Definitely you see the difference. So let me try to access this one. Localhost 5016. Now, whatever the token we got, we have to submit this token here. Sorry, my bad. Let me copy the token from the cache. So if without having this token, let us say if we try to access the categories, it will throw the error. It will throw the error that the token is required and all. Of course, exception handling, maybe we need to handle it properly, but it will throw us. It is just throwing now 500, but it should not throw 500. Rather, it should have to throw us the exception, proper neat exception. However, now let me just execute. After submitting the token, if we execute, see, we got the categories. Similarly, brand service as well. So brand's port number is 5017. Without submitting the token, let me ask the brands. It definitely will throw me no token provided, 403 forbidden, and times this is where the time we have accessed and no token provided. So let me provide the token now. So if I enter the token, authorize, now call get all brands, we now able to see the brands. So these brands we are getting from the MongoDB. Okay, now there is a relation between these categories and then these brands. What is that relation? There is a parent category and then child category. Every category may have one or more brands. Every brand may belongs to one or more categories. These are all the business cases we're going to see maybe later on time, right? But this is what exactly the architecture what I have drawn here. This is the architecture exactly what we have drawn there, right? So this is the JWT token and then the Redis cache, JWT token, and this JWT token is taken by this category service and brand service. So here is the security logic, security evolution or security related filters and all we have added here. You can see here config, and here we have taken the API security configuration. Here we customized the filter chain. There were a total of 15 filters. We have customized the filter chain, and then we have written our own JWT authentication filter. And this JWT authentication filter is authenticating the users and authorizing the users by taking the token from the request header if the user is authorized, and then getting the roles, and if the user have the proper roles, then only the categories are accessible. Otherwise it will throw saying that you are not authorized, or you are not, this token is not valid, something like that. Okay, so that's all from the infrastructure point of view. And how we going to do the infrastructure setup and all. You can see this cache is also, we have taken the domain cache.vshopifyapp.in, iam.vshopifyapp.in, and going forward our microservices also will have their own domains like categories.vshopifyapp.in, brands.vshopifyapp.in. Like that, we're going to take the complete realistic implementation, and all these microservices were Dockerized. You can see each and every microservice is Dockerized. So Docker, I'll explain the Docker completely. See this, every application is Dockerized. Every application, meaning every microservice is Dockerized, and all these Dockerized um, containers are being managed by using the Docker Compose. If you can see this Docker Compose file, there were a lot of things like database as one container, registry, and then see this auxn server and authentication server, and you can see the user management service, category service, and brand service, gateway, Zipkin, right? Going forward, a lot more things will come. So what this Docker Compose will do, this Docker Compose will do the management of the containers, management of the containers by using the images, which we're going to create using this Docker files. So our applications will be created as a Docker images. Those Docker images will be managed and then created as a Docker containers by this Docker Compose tool. It is fully realistic. Later in time, what will happen? In the our architecture here, we're gonna take the Docker machine, and all our microservices gonna deploy in this Docker machine. And all the applications are now in the Docker machine. We can't directly access them like how we are accessing using the local host. So again, we have to go with the load balancer. Then when the load balancer is there, again, we will configure the routes in the route 53 with the domain, like categories.vshopifyapp.in or brands.vshopifyapp.in. So the same domains will be used by the front-end applications. That means the front-end applications now use the brands.vshopifyapp.in, categories.vshopifyapp.in. So which will be resolved by our AWS platform. And then finally, the gateway will be reached. And from the gateway, the calls will go to our underlying microservices. And here is the gateway routes. So in the gateway is a reactive programming. For now, we have configured the routes like this, but these routes we can configure with the reactive programming. Of course, we're gonna write the custom filters as well. See, this is what the routes we have configured here. That's all for today. That is about the infrastructure setup overview, not infrastructure setup. I have explained completely, but it's an overview. So tomorrow, let us see the retail e-commerce domain explanation. What is retail sales? What is e-commerce sales? And how this combination, is hitting, and why every retail e-commerce business is successful nowadays. So all these things we'll discuss tomorrow. Any questions for me?
Sir,
Yes, today.
Sir, I'm already attending your Kubernetes class, sir. I'm planning to actually opt for this course as well. As part of my job, I'll be working till 11 p.m., sir. If in case, if I'm going to miss any class, so I can attend your upcoming new batches.
Upcoming new batches, I'm not sure, but if any class will be missed, recordings will be given to you. Every class recordings will be available to you. So let us say if today you missed it, then you can go with the recordings and then come back with your questions and all. Probably if any day it is possible for you, maybe on Saturday or Sunday in longer sessions, you may ask your questions or any. But upcoming batches, I'm not sure whether will be allowed or not. But just give me some time. I'll find it out and then let you know.
Okay, so mostly at 8 o'clock, some calls will be scheduled for me, sir.
Understood.
So,
Understood.
yeah, but I wanted to attend. I don't want to miss this.
Understood. Sure, I'll definitely let you know. That can be probably manageable, but I'm not sure at this moment. I can't give the assurance for that. Let me check with the management, because different questions we will get in the demos, right? These questions I will ask the management team and then get their replies and then post back to the students. Usually, it's not my decision. It's altogether the revenue point of view, right, for the institute as well. But just give me a day. I'll come back with the solution, with the answer to your question.
Sure, sir. So when is this demo ending, sir?
4 days we plan, right? So probably by the Monday also let's have the demo. Tomorrow let's have the demo, and then Monday also let's have the demo. Let us end the demos by the Monday, and then the sessions let us start usually from the Tuesday onwards, or maybe Wednesday onwards.
Sir, the session will be always at 8 p.m. only, or
maybe
even Sundays and Saturdays and Sundays also?
No, Saturday, Sundays, we'll take it in the morning hours only.
Okay.
Only
Okay.
weekdays, it will be 8 to 9 is now the demos. Probably 8:30 or maybe 9 p.m. onwards, I'll take the sessions because few of the members are, most of us are now going to the offices, right? Maybe I'm also have sometimes the meetings at 8 p.m. But after 9 p.m., mostly we'll get free. So let me try to take it from the 9 p.m. onwards if possible.
Okay.
Fine? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Narsi.
Thank you.
So on weekends, it will be in the morning for this real-time project?
Correct. Morning hours. Maybe 7 a.m. to, let's say, 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. IST or 9:30 a.m. IST, like that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because, weekdays, weekends, conducting the sessions at evening may not, the situation is the IST. For the PST and then the maybe other guys, maybe it's different one, but for the IST guys, weekends evening is little important. So
Yeah, that's fine. But the thing is that can you make it after 9 a.m.? Why? Because
yeah, that's okay. That is up to us. We can
Yeah.
manage. Most of the
in
majority.
weekends, it may be better to take after 9 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah. Because I
Yeah,
understand.
I'm agreed with him. In the weekend, please schedule for 9 p.m. or later.
Yeah. Sure.
Sorry? What is
Okay.
that?
Yeah.
9 p.m. is better. In weekend.
Go ahead, please.
9 p.m.
Yeah, 9. That's what. Weekdays it is 9 p.m. I'm planning to conduct this.
Yeah, and in weekend, 9 p.m. or later.
Your voice is a little feeble, actually. If you don't mind, could you please repeat that?
I'm saying, is it clear now? My voice is clear now?
Better.
I'm saying that in the weekend, 9 p.m. or later.
No, in the weekend, 9 a.m. 9 a.m.
No,
IST.
9 p.m. 9 p.m.
9 p.m.
Weekdays 9 p.m. and in the weekend 9 p.m. or later. Because in the morning
9 p.m. 9 p.m. is too late, na? 9 p.m. later is too late actually, because weekends we're gonna take the longer sessions. If we start by the 9 p.m., it will go around 11:30 p.m. is too. It's not good actually, for me at least.
Yeah, this is good slot, sir. Because
Okay,
everyone,
we'll decide.
Because everyone will join this course. Everyone will join that time.
Yeah.
Because that time most of the people are free. Yeah,
that's true. I'll do one thing. Ending the demos, right? Maybe after 2 days, after 2 demos, I'll write an email. Maybe the backend team will write an email with your opinion. Like, is it good at 9 p.m. or is it good at 9 p.m. or 9:30 or something like that? So they'll send an email based on the most of the majority decisions. We'll go ahead. Then only you guys can go and then enroll. Otherwise, it will be waste of your time, right? So time and money as well. That's the reason.
Yeah,
Got it,
sure.
huh? Yeah,
sir.
sure. That I'll take care. And yes, Alok, we're gonna write the unit test cases using the JUnit, and also we will mark them using the Marketo, and also we're gonna use the Jacaco for the unit test case reports generation.
Okay,
Right?
so you want to know, like in Spring Boot projects, we do automation using Selenium. Over here, how we do automation is because all our things are in the server AWS console. So do we use Selenium Grid, or we do something automation, something other? Because you have been in this domain from last 10 years. So I want to know for this new kind of AWS and Azure projects, how we do automation generally
here automation word maybe come up with a lot of subsequent words as well. Is it automation testing? Is it automation infrastructure provisioning? what is the automation meaning you are asking
Generally,
here?
we have user story, and inside user story, like you have developed one functionality, let's say download Excel button. So, or let's say I made one new page. I want to show that page using Selenium automation. So we used to do using Selenium automation, that driver manager Chrome driver we will do, and then we will navigate to that URL, and we will do as a dot equals that expected and actual is equal. In this way,
Okay.
we do automation using Selenium.
Okay, so you're talking about the automation testing using the Selenium, correct?
So that
Ah.
we do in Spring Boot projects, but over here now the new projects came using AWS and Azure. Now our projects are residing in Portal. So how we do automation for those?
Same case, of course, we are not going to use the Selenium here, but it is the same case, whether it is the AWS, whether it is the Azure. In the Selenium, we're going to use the web drivers only, right? Maybe the network drive, HTTP drivers or web drivers we're going to use. That web drivers requires the web URL. So it gonna
I
hit the
thought
web
some
URL.
special tools are there for ETL tools that we do also automation, I thought.
Correct. So here VPC, I got your point. VPN is required when we have to enter into a separate network, but VPN is required to go into that network. So our machine need to be connected to that VPN where we are testing from it, right? But AWS or the Azure, whatever the infra we're going to set up, ultimately the application will run in those clouds, will expose over the network URLs only. So if you want to do an automation testing, we definitely have to do through the network URLs. Okay. But here we not going to conduct any of the Selenium testing, but we're going to do the performance testing using the JMeter.
Oh, performance testing. Okay. It was asked from my interview. Okay. Fine. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. And today's recordings you will get. Hey, look, Hystrix is outdated. No one is using the Hystrix nowadays. Rather, Hystrix, everyone is using the Resilience 4J. So Jipkin, Slew, Circuit Breaker, these are all will comes under the Resilience 4J pattern. So Resilience 4J patterns we're gonna use.
Okay.
And role-based access control we're gonna use, and JWT and OAuth 2 is what we're gonna use. Okay. Right. Am I audible? Any more questions? Okay, thanks a lot.
React JS because I'm into the Java.
Sorry, could you please repeat that?
So do I need to have prior knowledge on React JS and AWS?
Not required. Not required. I always suggest one thing. If you guys will get some time, or if you have some time, parallelly, if you want to join for the React JS, but not AWS is we're gonna do here. You're gonna set up not in depth. You have we're not going to learn in depth of the AWS here. I will provide my AWS previous batch recordings to you. Guys can go through it, but if possible, join the React JS, because future will be, of course, nowadays they are asking for the full stack. Everyone should have to know the end-to-end development experience and also the deployment experience along with the CI/CD process as well. So that is what the market expectation. So if you guys will have the time, go and then join for the React JS parallelly along with this course. But AWS, no need to join, because my AWS recordings I will share with you guys. You just go through it, and however we're going to set up the infra, right? While setting up, I'll explain. However, but in depth, if you want, you can go and then see my AWS videos. You no need to pay for them. I'll allow the backend team to share those videos with you guys.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So today's recording and yesterday's recording and all these demos recordings, they will upload into the YouTube, and then they will send you the email. Our backend team will send you the email with these YouTube links and all. You just go and then watch the demos and all. Yes, usually you guys will get the recording. Recordings will be uploaded to your Gmail drive or whatever the mail drive you're going to give. Every day, the recordings will be uploaded to your drives. And material you will get from me, meaning I usually will maintain the classrooms. So I'm going to give the access for this classroom. Then from this classroom, you can get the material. So this is the Shopify platform classroom. So I'll give you the access here. You can go and then get all the classwork, materials, architecture documents, whatever Postman scripts and Jmeter scripts, AWS notes, microservices notes, all the things you can get here, even course content and all. Okay, and to automate our infrastructure, Terraform scripts are also there here. So Terraform nodes and then Terraform scripts are also there. Probably these Terraform scripts we will use to automate our infrastructure going forward. Okay, yeah, any questions? Okay, yeah, great guys, thanks a lot, and see you tomorrow at the same time. Thanks for your interest, and then thanks for giving me the opportunity. Thanks a lot, and then see you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.